Hello everyone, welcome to Blue Dragon Actual. So today's video is related to how you can enter into actuaries, right? Especially directed towards the freshers. Now this video, I was thinking of covering this in our webinar. Now, by the way, our webinar will be conducted on 11th of March, which is 6 more days from now. That is the next Saturday, right? We have already received 150 registrations here, as you can see. If you have not registered yet, if you are not aware of this, this is a free webinar in which we are going to cover concepts like what are the scope of actuaries in different areas, what does an actuary do, and we are going to calculate reserve manually using Excel, right? So that and that would be the change in mindset that will require, because we have seen people who are scoring good marks, but they have very limited concepts. And this is a free webinar related to that. 1 hour 30 minutes webinar, and it's an online webinar anyone can attend, right? And you need not pay anything, so that's why that's the fun of it, right? And I can assure you this would be one of the best webinar in your life that you have attended, right? So with all that commitment, right, I was kind of preparing the content for this webinar, and I realized that this was one of the topic how you can enter into actually through different through different societies. So there are three societies that we are aware of. One is IAI, which is the Institute of Actuaries of India; IFOA, Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, UK; and then there is SOA, which has come up in the recent times. So I'm going to release three videos on how to enter, right? II will be the kind of the most important video, because in II will cover the general concept, and will in the remaining two videos will kind of link those general concepts with what we have covered in II, right? This video is related to II, and I initially thought that people who are interested in actually would be aware of this, but from the queries that I've got in, especially in LinkedIn, I realized that many people have not even gone through the II website, right? So I think that is something that you should be doing on your own. There should not be someone who would be doing that for you, because if you can't do that, how can you become a good actuary? But once again, there are maybe people are not aware, right? So that's why I would be covering the II website today, how to enter into the actual world through II, right? And that is the purpose of this video. And then what are the what are the maybe the next steps that you have to do. So this would be maybe a 15-20 minutes video on that. Then there would be another video covering the similar concept for IFA, and then there would be a similar video covering the similar concept for SOA. So all this video would be released in phases for the before the webinar begins, so that I expect that everyone who will be attending that webinar would be kind of benefited by this video, and questions related to this would, or presentations related to this would not be covered in the webinar. So we use the webinar for much better or concept oriented things, rather than how can you probably enter into actually, right? So let's begin without any wastage of time. And if you want to register, the link would be in the description of this video. For all these three videos, right, the link would be in the description, right? But you have to register quickly, because after Monday, like after 6th of March 2023, we're going to close the registration, right? So I mean, and first of all, thanks for this overwhelming response. I was not expecting 150 responses, but we have got it, right? So even if around 100 people attend, that's still I believe that's a great achievement for me. So thanks for placing that trust in me. And once again, as I mentioned, I'll ensure that this is one of the best webinar that you had in your entire life. Although it's a kind of an entry level webinar, it's not a very high level webinar, and we'll get to that as well in time if we get this sort of response. So without further wastage of time, so how can you become an actuary, right? And how can you become an actuary from Institute of Actuaries of India? So this is the website, actuariesindia.org, right? And here there is multiple things, like you can go and check what are the things that are there home about, right? How IAI came into picture, and it was initially ASI, Actual Society of India, something like that, and then it got changed to IAI. It's a statutory body which is established by an act of the parliament, right? But what we actually as a student is interested in is what are the like how is there any entrance exam, what are the eligibility. So yes, for IAI, only for IAI, right, the entrance exam does not exist in IFOA, the entrance exam does not exist in SOA, but for IAI the entrance exam exists, and that is called ACET, Actuarial Common Entrance Test. And if you come here and if you come to this, right, ACET, from become an Actuary tab, and then you go to ACET, you will come to this page, right, which will introduce you to the ACET, like what is ACET and etc. So ACET is the entrance exam, right? And if you move to ACET, then like if you go to ACET and if you come to actual study, so that this the background of ACET is kind of given here, which is become an actuary. So first of all, if you want to enter or write exam from Institute of Actuaries of India, you have to come through ACET. There is no other way as such, right? I think earlier there was a way, if you clear two papers for three papers from IFA, then also you can enter into actually Institute of Actuaries of India, right? But I think these days that method has not been working. It's only through ACET, I believe, right? I can be wrong in that, but I believe that is the purpose. But for me, I entered Institute of Actuaries of India through this. I think that was the first time the ACET was held. It was at that point of time, it is a paper pencil test. Right now, I think it's a computer based test. But yeah, you cannot write that from your home. You have to come to an exam center to write that. Now, coming to the ACET exam and the ACET exam detail, right? So, what is the eligibility criteria? Student who have passed 10 plus 2. So, obviously, class 12 result has to be uh, out, or you are waiting for that, right? Or a student who have passed 10 plus 2 or any other higher courses, right? So, you need not be a graduate, but in order to get a job, you have to be a graduate. So, and you can start your actually career or writing the exam when you are not a graduate, but I will not suggest you to not do a graduation, and especially if you can do your graduation in this, then the industry kind of prefer that maths or stats or econometrics, right, economics, right, computer science. I think if you do your graduation in those field, you would be kind of better equipped, or industry prefers that. I don't believe that someone who has done maybe graduation in commerce is anyway inferior to someone who has done graduation in maths, but maybe somewhere, and also it depends on the concepts. As I mentioned, there are many people who have graduated in maths and forgotten maths, so that would not help you, right? And it's not very deep level of maths that you require in actually, like we have studied in maths honors. That level of maths is not required. It's only application oriented maths, but you need some degree of expertise in maths, right? And if you don't have that expertise, then you have to kind of be open to the idea of building that expertise. Otherwise, you will struggle in actually, right? So this is also mentioned. ACET exam is conducted only in India, right? So you have to go to the center, and ACET result is valid for 3 years from the date of declaration. So you can take your ACET entrance exam, and I think this is done because of the graduation thing. Usually, the graduation in India is for 3 years, or if you are an engineer, it will be for 4 years. So then you need not take it in the first year. You can take it in the second year, and that result will be valid, and then you can use that result to gain the access, right? So what are the subjects that are covered, right? So if I come to the, so then it is written here, exam detail. So if you go to that, it's written 45 questions. So 45 question, 1 mark is 20 question, 2 mark is, and 5 question, 3 marks each. And these are the areas in which the questions would be: mathematics 30 marks, statistics 30 marks, because these are the areas that you use the most while studying for your actual papers. Data interpretation, charts and graphs, line charts, pie charts, etc. English, and I frankly don't understand why there is a portion in English. Everyone who has passed graduation has dealt with some bit of English. Had that person graduated from, not from like, I mean, from any normal university, I think there would be decent amount of English, but still it is given, but it's not given that much weightage. And it's very simple English. Like I've seen synonyms and opposite antonyms, etc. That sort of English, right? Logical reasoning, 10 marks. So it's kind of like bank PO exam or CAT exam, if you're familiar with that, right? But the CAT has much higher level. It can be more, it's more similar to the bank PO or bank clerical sort of exam. But this mathematics and statistics part is what makes it different. Those sort of exams are not, or those sort of questions are not asked in bank PO or bank clerical exams, right? Otherwise, I think you can consider the level equivalent to that, or maybe the MAT exam where the exam level is not that high. This sort of questions are asked. In mathematics, especially, there is a portion, and we'll see the syllabus. And in mathematics, there are portions on determinants and matrix. These are the questions which are purely maths oriented. And so in mathematics, this vertical is called linear algebra, and we have that question from linear algebra. So I mean, these are the questions that you will not find in any other competitive exam. So other than IS maybe, or WBCS, or something civil service exam. So other than that, you will not find this question. So these questions are kind of yeah, I mean, you have to kind of study for that, right? So moving on. Uh, Now I think coming to the syllabus, right? So as you can see, these are the five portions where you need to kind of understand mathematics. If you go to mathematics, numerical methods, vector matrices, this is the linear algebra portion that I mentioned. Differentiation, integration, that is the calculus, right? This is the calculus algebra. And now it is not written what algebra. It can be normal algebra, it can be linear algebra, it can be abstract algebra. There are multiple classical algebra, multiple types of algebras are there. So have to be kind of familiar with that, right? And notation and standard. So once you register for the asset, you will gain an access, which is kind of given here. If you come to the login, there you can see the asset login, right? It's not the IAI member login. IAI member login will come into picture once you clear asset, but before that, it will be asset login, and there you should get your material, right? Now, anyways, coming back to the statistics. So in statistics, these are the things that we'll also study in the first, I think, in our time it is called CT3, but right now I think it is called CS1. So in CS1, these are the things that you are going to study. So that only helps you in your further studies, and that's why I believe that taking the entrance exam is like can put you ahead of others, right? Because what are the concepts that are required or that are studied over the papers, those are kind of covered here. So these are the concepts that we'll study in the first 2 3 chapters of maybe CS1, right? Once again, English is related to fill in the blanks, close passage, jumbled paragraph, etc. Verbal reasoning, all these are normal English. Like if you have studied in English medium school, I think you will already be knowing of this, right? Grammar, vocabulary. So I personally is not that great in English, but I have to, like when I was appearing for CAT, this was the only section that I was not that good. But then yeah, I kind of understood. And in English is all about eliminating your option and not choosing the right option, other as compared to maths, maybe where you are kind of selecting the right option. But in English, you have to eliminate the options. That's how I've done English, right? Data interpretation, once again, it's very easy. I think there is no experience. Like you need some experience, and then after that, it will be tables, column chart, bar chart, line chart. These are very easy to understand, right? And logical reasoning, it's yeah, these are once again you need some experience, right? You need to do some questions, but after that, it's very easy. Blood relations, like someone's father is someone's mother, something like that. It's the some now you have to kind of mention who is the uncle of someone, right? Something like that. That sort of questions, right? There'll be pattern, etc. We'll see some questions here. So that's how actual the asset exam helps. And if you go to the syllabus, I think syllabus we have already covered, right? There is a reference book that also you can check, but I think institute also provides its own book, right? And you can get the book in the login once you register, right? Otherwise, you can also go to the reference book. And I think other than that, like had I been in your place, I'll be directly going to the question paper, right? This is slightly difficult to pick. Anyways, so question paper and solution, right? I'll be directly going to the paper and solving that, right? And that way it would give me the confidence that yeah, I can solve the question paper, right? So if you solve all this question paper and the solution is also given, I think that's more than enough, right? I think you can follow that approach. And yeah, maybe in future I might have a course on the asset, right? And if I have that course, that will be a comprehensive course. Everything will be covered in there. But that is not something that is happening in the next 2 to 3 months. So maybe later part of this year. So just for an example, let's just take an recent example, maybe June 2022 question paper, right? Let's go through the June 22 question paper. What are the types of? So this is a function question, fx equal to 5x cube plus 9. Then f1 is neither 1 to 1. or one-on-one, but want to but one-on-one, right? And similar sort of, so this is a limit question. This is a question on polynomial, right? And zero means root, or zero means the solution, right? What are the type numbers of solution? So these are the types of questions that you have to kind of solve, right? Log question, right? So these are not very easy questions. These questions are not kind of given in competitive exams like bank clerical and bank PO, right? Or even in CAT. So these are the questions that you have to solve on your own. You have to understand how to solve this question, right? And once you go through a couple of these questions, you will be kind of familiar. Okay, these are the way, like this is a question you have to use some substitution logic and integration. So I mean, you can easily do that, but you need some practice, right? It's not something that you will go without practice and you can finish that, right? As this is the determinant question, right? A determinant, there is a formula to kind of crack this sort of question. So for me, I can go back to my maths honors days and I can understand what is going on here, right? But if you have not done maths honors, then this might be slightly challenging for you. You have to kind of prepare for that. Now, statistics, once again, observation, mean, right? Confidence interval, right? Average marks of the section. From average marks, you have to maybe come to. So this is the central tendency chapter of statistics. So in this way, right? And all this require practice. But if you move quickly to the maybe the so see this all these are kind of statistics oriented question, right? But if you move quickly to data interpretation, so these are much easier to solve. Like what is the proportion having cells greater than 50,000, right? So having cell greater than, now this is where it is greater written as less than 50,000. Now you have to kind of convert this table into a format where it from less than it becomes more than, right? So in this way you have to kind of answer this question. So if it is less than 50,000, then obviously less than 40,000. So maybe 50,000 and beyond would be this segment, right? So in that way you have to kind of consider. Once again, practice is equal, but these are much easier. Like these are, like you need just common sense to solve this sort of question. But the maths and the stat part, you need to know the formulas. So there is some background information that you require, right? So this is the Venn diagram question once again. So this is once again some questions on charts and graph, right? I think these are easy to crack. Common sense is required only. English, as you can see, choose the word closest in the meaning to the third letter. I don't remember the meaning of this, right? I think it's maybe something means fraud, right? So I don't know what's the actual meaning of that, but I think it's probably for fraud, right? What closest to the meaning of taciturn. I don't understand the meaning. I don't know the meaning, right? So these are not very easy to do, right? I believe not for normal people, but yeah, obviously with some experience you will be gaining there, right? And that's why I feel that you should be solving the questions, right? And once again, logical reasoning, like his father's father is the only son of my grandfather. How is B related to A? Right, I think is father only. So in this way, I don't know. Father is not in the option, so maybe mother, something like that. Like I'm just going through it randomly, but I think you get a taste of the questions that is kind of asked, right? And you need some practice, right? Without practice, you can't solve this sort of question, right? And don't try to solve everything, right? As I think somewhere it is written that 50% is the passing mark. I don't remember where it is written, but I think 50% is the passing mark. That also goes for the normal paper. It's very difficult to. So Institute of Actuaries of India has created a website which is so fancy that is very difficult to go to the real, you know, paper, real area. Anyways, so syllabus, question paper, and solution. I don't remember. I think there was one area where, yeah, you can register for this as well. I think the date of results, 18 March is the exam that is also going on, right? And once you register, you'll get the material in your login, or you'll get the necessary detail. But once again, I will suggest that until unless you have solved at least maybe 5, 6 papers, don't register, right? You need to have that clarity in your mind that yeah, these are the types of question I'm comfortable in answering this question. Then only you should register, right? You can mail to this portion on this body, and they will respond back on your queries, right? I think the main thing is to get the study material, right? And the study material you will get once you register. Also, there are reference book which was kind of given, so you can go to those like you can see those reference books. Because right now, I don't think there is any sort of organized coaching for this. Right. So that is there. Now, I think so. Once you are kind of done with clearing asset, right? Once you have gone through all the mathematics and the probability formulas and you have cleared the asset, and 50%, just take my word that 50% is the kind of number that is kind of, because I'm quite certain that I've seen it somewhere. Maybe let's see the frequently asked question, and otherwise it's 50%, because even in actual paper uh, it's 50%. But it's so fancy that once you move to a particular area, it just jumps, right? So yeah, they build website which is difficult to, yeah. So I think this is where you'll get answer to the most of the question. What is the registration fee? So if I click here, is 3,000. How frequently the exam is held? Exam is held twice, in June and December, but we just saw the registration date is March, right? So will the question paper have sectional cutoff, right? And I think what is the pass mark of asset? So I think here I've seen, yeah, the pass mark for asset is 50%, right? And the question paper will not have any sectional cutoff. So even if you fail English, you can still pass. That's a good thing if I'd be appearing for the exam. How can I register for the exam? Right. So I think you can register, go to the ISI to sign up on this portion. So I think you can come to the FAQ, all your questions will be answered. How do I get my examination hall ticket, etc.? When will the result be declared? I think everything would be given. You will also get an email when the result is out, right? How will II contact me after registration? So see question 5 for the registration procedure, right? If you have not received any communication from I, please contact II help desk. How I register, please mention how do the reference book cover the asset reference book for guidance, and they may or may not cover any given asset syllabus, right? So you need, that's why you need to cover the material that is kind of given there, right? And you have to like, because solution is given, so you need to solve for those questions. Once you solve, you will be having an idea, because once you solve one question, you know that these are the types of questions that are asked, and you can go through it and get more clarity. I think where can I look for the syllabus? I think everything has been covered, right? And which city is the centers? I think it's available everywhere, right? So you have to go to the exam center, as I mentioned. So I think this is an, yeah, external calculator. So you can use this Casio FX82. This is also used with, like, I have this calculator Casio FX82, and I mean, yeah, these are the calculators that I've used for the actual papers as well, right? And finally, what do I need to carry? So I think everything is kind of mentioned here. Is just the website is a bit fancy, so you have to uh, go to a particular place, right? I think this is very, very, very important. The syllabus is quite important because you need expertise on those areas, right? You can go to the syllabus and see what is kind of has to be covered in mathematics, right? Notation, standard function, numerical methods, etc., right? And the, I think the next most important thing would be the question paper, and probably this is the most important, right? And you can see also the results, how the result has been discussed, and what are the, maybe for June November 2022, you can see like I have just clicked on that, and see there is 490 candidates appeared. One for one, the result is withheld, and out of 489, 188 have passed, which is 40%, which is good, right? Someone who has uh, have the knowledge, right, are expected to pass. So I think that's how you, like, it's very quite transparent, right? And you can appear for the exam, right? Now this is the part which I'll not be covering for other actual institute, right? But this is the part that I'll be covering only for the II, and this part would be more or less similar, right? For IFO, it would be more or less similar. For SY, I think it would be slightly different. So that maybe for SY, I'll cover that part, right? So what are the, after you clear asset, what are the things that you have to do, right? So there you have to come to actual exams. So these are the 4 stages in which the exams are conducted. This is core principles. So core principle means that these are the exams that you have to write, right? You can click on each of this, and you can find what are the exams all about, what are the syllabus, right? And as for example, if you click here, you'll go to the subject and it will show you what are the things that you have to kind of study, right? So this is CS1 and this is the same thing that you are kind of studying for ACET. The first couple of chapters would be same, right? So that's why this is very important. Usually people start with this paper only or CM1 maybe. These are the two papers of choice for people. So these are in this section, everything you have to kind of write, right? All the papers you have to clear. So core principles, I think there are 7 papers, right? If I am not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, right now there are 7 papers. In our time there was 9 papers. Some few are combined. So 9 papers you have to clear. Then after clearing 9 papers, you move on to core practices. There is no requirement that you have to kind of clear all 7 papers. Then you can move on to this portion. You can write this and this simultaneously, but I would suggest that at least for the first few papers, stick to here only. Then you can think about this. So core principle and core practices, all the papers that are present, you have to clear, right? So here 7 papers you have to clear. Here 3 papers you have to clear, right? Usually people write modeling practice because these are practical papers. CP2 and CP3, these are practical papers. So you don't have to study anything. You have just to consult the previous questions and that should be enough. CP2 is more tougher as compared to CP3. CP3 is slightly on the easier portion. It's communication paper. So you have to communicate in a way that everyone understand, right? Or your audience understands. So that's CP2. CP1 is probably the biggest and the toughest paper, and that's I think this is the most complete paper of actually everything that you need to know in the higher papers, which is SP and SA, is kind of covered here. I personally feel that there should not be any SA paper because everything is kind of covered in CP1 and SP series, right? But I mean that's how institute is. They would not follow what I want, right? Now in a stage 3 or stage 4, you need to choose paper. So stage 3, you have to clear 2 papers. So like I have cleared SP1 and SP2, resuming SP1 and SP2 is lot more similar. Hey, there is lot of similarities here. There is also one paper SP9 which right now Institute of Actuaries of India do not conduct. But if you have cleared it from IFOA, they will give you the exemptions, right? So these are the papers that you need to clear, but only 2. So you can choose this and this or this and SP5, or for general insurance, it is SP7 and SP8. Usually, if you are into finance, then SP5 and SP6, right? SP6 is something which is very close to FRM part 1. If you have studied FRM part 1, I mean, its syllabus is slightly inferior to FRM part 1. If you have studied FRM part 1, it's like chances are that you already know everything that you need to know for this paper. So I mean, these are here there you need to kind of select 2 papers, and finally in the last section, right, you need to clear 1 paper. So SA1 or SA2 or SA7, this is related to SP5 and SP6, right? General insurance is related to SP7 and SP8, right? SA2 is kind of related to SP2. So you need to clear any 1 paper out of this. So that means total number of papers is 13. And once you clear 13 papers, you are a fully qualified actuary, and you need 3 years of work ex, I believe. So for you obviously when you are kind of writing papers, you will be looking for jobs, right? And obviously will be having 3 years of work. That's, I mean, that's not a challenge, right? If you are good into your concepts, right, you should have those 3 years of work ex, right? However, obviously, as I mentioned, for Institute of Actuaries of India, it cannot happen. But in from IFA, because the exam is conducted online, you are writing the exam from your home. There are cheating cases, right? And people who are cheating, they are maybe it's easier for them to clear the papers, but you take shortcut in life. Then when you are moving into some difficult questions or interview questions, or when you are kind of joining the company, but after that people will know that you are hollow from inside. So don't take shortcut in life. It only come back to bite you, and bite you real hard, right? And yeah, wherever you have taken shortcut, it will, life will ensure that you will get hit on that part, right? So don't take shortcut. Anyways, so I think this is the journey in ACET. There are you first of all in from IAI you need to clear ACET, and for clearing ACET is not an easy thing. As you have seen, there are uh, areas where you need expertise, right? And obviously in our time the institute used to send materials, and you need to go through those materials, right? And like many people have asked me, said, do teach for ACET? No, I don't teach for ACET right now, but maybe in future I can plan a course, right? But that would not happen anytime soon, right? So if I plan a course, it would be comprehensive, everything would be covered there. But since there is some time for that, right? I think the best way is to go through the questions and understand the questions and see if you can solve that, right? And once you are done with maybe 5 or 6 questions of ACET, then you can register, right? And remaining five or six you can solve, right? And I think these days there are so many materials available online that you can crack any exam, right? You just have to be sincere. If you don't take the shortcut, you can clear the exam. The real challenge start after clearing the exam, which is 13 papers that I've shown. CP, CS, whatever the exams are called, CP core principle, core practices, both are CP, right? Then SP and SA. These are the real challenge, especially in SA, especially for these two papers, SA2 and SA3. Institute of Actuaries have very low passing rate, but Institute of Actuaries have increased the passing rate in the other papers. So people get stuck here, right? So that's a separate challenge altogether, not a topic for this video. But yeah, I mean, those are challenging things, right? ACET is just introducing you to the challenge, and that's why I believe that it is more systematic and organized from Institute of Actuaries of India, where they prepare you for the challenge, right? So I think that's it. And the next video would be on IFA, how to enter IFA, what are the eligibility criteria. But obviously, now you know that these are the how the actual studies and the papers and the 13 papers, etc., that you need to kind of clear. And I think those that portion would not be covered for IFA because same paper, same thing, same concept. In fact, Institute of Actuaries of India has copied or kind of used the IFA material, right, to or create these topics, right, or to create this subject. So that's quite, I mean, quite obvious. So for IFA, the video would only be focused on how you enter the IFA exam, right? So I think that's it. Okay, one thing that I've just realized is, so in the course of this presentation, I was kind of saying that maybe the institute earlier there was two paper entry. Like, have you if you have cleared two papers from IFA, you will get direct entry. Maybe that is kind of removed, but that's not the case. If you come to become an actuary and non-asset or direct entry, right? So these are the ways you can get the direct entry, MBA in finance. I think this was not present when because I have MBA in finance with this grade. Anyways, I am graduate, IIT graduate, uh, BSc or MSc in actual science from institute or colleges, right? So then you need not appear for ACET exam. IIT graduates, fellow member of Insurance Institute of IIII, right? Insurance Institute of India, past two papers from any of the below following societies like Institute of IFOA Society. So that two paper exemption is still there, right? You can also clear two papers and you need not write ACET, right? That way also you can get the exemptions and you can come to this page, right? Become an actuary non-asset or direct entry, and you can see this. If you have this at Bachelor of Mathematics from Institute of Indian Statistical Institute, Bachelor of Statistics from Indian Statistical Institute, so you not need not clear that, right? And right, I think that's qualified first year BSc MSc Actual Science from Amity University. So all of this will give you direct entry to II. You can skip the asset level, right? But I believe that you should write the asset exam. Even if you have this, it will help you, right? If you are just in the starting phase, the writing the asset exam will help you. That has helped me personally because I came through asset, right? And at that point of time, it was a paper pencil, as I mentioned. So I think, yeah, it's I mean, this is also the way, but if you want to kind of explore this, you can do that. I think the next best thing would be to clear two papers from below societies, right? So that way you are also advancing two papers, right? From the Institute of Actuaries of UK, and you are still getting the entry. The question is because right now the exemption has been stopped, right? Both the society has stopped giving exemption, so they will get exemption for those two papers, right? Or you have to write those papers from here, India as well. Now that is something that you need to mail that asset body and ask them because I don't have the answer for that. right? So I think that is somewhere it is important to understand, and also you need to understand, like, if I am getting answer through this entry through this, then should I be given exemption for those two papers, because there is no point in writing those paper again, right? Otherwise, I think writing asset is the best way to move ahead, right? So I think this would be the end of this video. Next video would be on IFOA, right? And those would be released in phases. So today would be the IAI video, and then there would be SOA video and IFOA video. So I hope if you are fresher, if you have no idea about actually, this video would tremendously help you. So please like the video, please subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching this video.